Welcome back, horror seekers, to another bone-chilling episode of Whispering Shadows. Tonight's story. Well, let's just say it might change how you look at those luxury home listings forever. Before we begin, make sure you're somewhere safe, because once this tour starts, there's no turning back. Real estate agent Monica Torres had seen her share of unusual properties during her 15 years in luxury home sales. But 1879 Blackridge Manor was different. Standing 3 stories tall against the mountain backdrop, its Victorian architecture was a masterpiece of dark wood and gleaming windows, 48 of them to be exact. She'd counted them all during her first visit. The seller, a private investment firm, had listed it at an unbelievable price, $1.2 million for 8,500 square feet of historical perfection. In San Francisco's exploding housing market, it should have been listed at 5 times that amount. But there was a catch. It had to sell within 30 days, and the buyers had to take it as is. No inspections allowed. Monica should have recognized these red flags. She should have questioned why the last 6 agents had mysteriously dropped the listing. But all she saw was her commission, the biggest of her career. So when the wealthy Zhong family requested a twilight showing, she ignored that nagging voice in her head, the one screaming that something wasn't right about a house with 48 windows on the outside, but 52 when counted from within. The Zhangs arrived precisely at 6:45 p.m. Parents James and Lee, their teenage daughter May, and their 9-year-old son Tommy. Picture-perfect clients in designer clothes, eager to find their dream home. Monica greeted them at the wrought iron gates, her sales pitch ready. The house was built in 1887 by railroad tycoon Sebastian Blackridge, she explained, leading them up the winding pathway. The architectural style is unique, a blend of Victorian and... Her voice trailed off. Something was different. Monica had prepared for this showing just hours earlier, meticulously checking each room. But now, looking up at the facade, she could have sworn the windows had shifted. The grand bay window that dominated the front was definitely larger, and that circular window in the tower, had it always been on the west side? As she fumbled with the lockbox, Tommy tugged his mother's sleeve. "Mom, the house is breathing." Li Zhang laughed nervously. He has such an imagination. But Monica had seen it too, a subtle expansion and contraction, like a giant chest rising and falling. She blamed it on the twilight shadows and opened the heavy oak door. The foyer was exactly as she remembered: marble floors, crystal chandelier, sweeping staircase. But beyond that, nothing made sense. The living room that should have been on the right was now on the left. The kitchen she'd admired earlier had somehow moved to the opposite side of the house. Fascinating layout, James John remarked, running his hand along the mahogany wainscot. Almost like an Escher painting. Monica checked her floor plan, then checked it again. The drawings showed for bedrooms on the 2nd floor, but as they climbed the stairs, she counted 6 doorways, then 7, then 5. Doors seemed to appear and disappear depending on which angle you viewed them from. Mei Zhang, 16 and already jaded, was filming everything on her phone. This is going straight to TikTok. The lighting in here is insane. But when Monica glanced at May's phone screen, her blood ran cold. The video showed empty doorways where the Zhangs were standing, dark figures moving in the backgrounds of rooms they hadn't entered yet. "Can I explore?" Tommy asked, eyes wide with excitement. Before anyone could stop him, he darted down a hallway that Monica was certain hadn't existed a moment ago. The sound of his footsteps echoed strangely, sometimes seeming to come from above, sometimes from below. "Tommy," Lee called out, her voice tinged with worry. "Come back here right now." They followed the sound of his laughter, turning corner after corner. Monica's confusion grew. The house was large, but this was impossible. They'd been walking for 5 minutes through new corridors, each one filled with more doors. Then Tommy screamed. They found him in what appeared to be a child's playroom, but everything was wrong. Victorian toys lined the shelves, porcelain dolls with cracked faces, mechanical monkeys with razor-sharp teeth, a rocking horse that moved on its own. And the walls. The wallpaper showed scenes of children playing, but the longer you looked, the more you realized they were running, terrified, from something just out of frame. "The other kids want to play," Tommy whispered, pointing to a mirror that showed at least a dozen children standing behind them. Monica whirled round. The room was empty. They rushed Tommy out of the playroom, only to find themselves in the manor's library. Monica hadn't shown this room during her previous visits. She distinctly remembered it being locked. Now the doors stood wide open, revealing walls of books stretching up 3 stories. James Jung, still trying to maintain his composure, examined the titles. "These are all the same book," he said, pulling one from the shelf. Monica looked closer. Each volume was bound in dark red leather, without titles on their spines. James opened the book in his hands, and Monica felt her reality tilt. Every page contained the same text, repeated endlessly. The house must feed. The house must grow. The house must have what is owed. The books on the upper shelves began to fall, their pages fluttering like wings. As they watched in horror, the text crawled off the pages, forming dark rivers of letters that slithered across the floor. May's phone died first, then the power. Emergency lights should have kicked in. Monica had verified the backup systems herself. But the darkness that fell was complete, absolute, hungry. They heard it then, the sound of a wood groaning, of nails pulling free, of walls shifting. The house wasn't just breathing anymore. It was digesting. "Everyone, stay together." Monica shouted, but her voice seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. She felt Li Zheng's hand clutch her arm, then disappear one by one. The voices of the Zhong family faded, replaced by the sound of turning gears and crumbling plaster. Monica ran, or tried to. Each step seemed to take her deeper into the house's impossible geometry. The windows, all 52 of them, began to glow with an inner light. Through them, she caught glimpses of other tours, other families, other agents, all trapped in their own versions of the house, all running through endless corridors. The windows, all 52 of them, began to glow with an inner light. Through them, she caught glimpses of other tours, other families, other agents, all trapped in their own versions of the house, all running through endless corridors. What happened next is known only because Monica Torres lived to tell the tale. She was found 3 days later, wandering the streets of San Francisco, clutching a leather-bound book and mumbling about windows that wouldn't stay still. The Zhang family was never seen again. Neither was 1879 Blackridge Manor. The lot where it stood was empty, as if the house had never existed. But if you check real estate listings late at night, you might find it. A too-good-to-be-true Victorian mansion, price recently reduced, in need of a new real estate agent. And here's the most terrifying part. Every year, dozens of luxury homes are listed at suspiciously low prices. Every year, families disappear during private showings. And every year, the number of windows in these houses never seems to stay the same. If this story kept you on the edge of your seat, you won't want to miss our next episode. where we investigate the mysterious disappearances linked to luxury real estate across the country. Hit that subscribe button and notification bell right now. Your survival in the housing market might depend on it. Leave a comment below telling us how many windows your house has, and whether you've counted them lately. Stay vigilant, stay scared, and we'll see you in the next video. If the house doesn't find you first,